Being the curious individual that I am, I went and signed up for Agent.ai to see if I could create an agent. I couldn't. I'm not a developer. So it is absolutely targeted at developers, but you can go in there and you can start utilizing all of these different agents. And that, to me, is fascinating because it gives you a sense of all of the different kinds of things that you do.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our #1 priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. And if you're joining for the first time, this is sort of the analyst series in which we review the enterprise software stories. So we have a bunch of analysts who are going to provide their insight. So we are going to start with everybody's intros. Quickly about me, Sam Gupta, principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the analyst and advisory firm. On that note, we'll go clockwise. Charles, do you want to go next?
Of course. Thank you for having me on, Sam. My name is Charles Brennan. I work with Nucleus Research, and for those who aren't familiar, we are a global provider of technology research and advisory services that really focuses on return on investment. And this is mainly done through end-user conversations. But for me particularly, I focus on research and advisory surrounding operational business applications such as ERP, anything supply chain related. So happy to be here today and discuss the topics.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Charles. John?
John Santaferraro here. I am the digital analyst from Ferraro Consulting. Glad to be here. I've spent about 30 years in the AI analytics data industry and excited to bring that perspective to the world of ERP.
Love it. Thank you so much, John. Kengon?
My name is Ken Gonzalez, otherwise known by my nickname as KenGon. I'm a lead analyst with the Pretty Simple Group, and my primary area of coverage is infrastructure and operations, but unfortunately I get my fingers into a lot of other stuff too. So.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Michael?
Sure. Michael Fawcett. I am CEO and Chief Analyst of Arian Research. I've been involved in tech for over 35 years, all across the enterprise apps world. I ran the enterprise apps practice at IDC, so I've worked across almost everything, but I do focus mostly now on CX and AI.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Michael. And if you're in the audience and one of the things that we like to do as part of WBS Talks is we are a big fan of creating this three-way conversation. So make sure you guys post your questions, comments, even though you are sort of not part of the conversation, but you are kind of part of the conversation. So we look forward to reviewing every single comment that you are going to make. So on that note, we'll dig right into it if you guys are okay with this. So the first story that we have, I'm going to provide quick briefing, and then I want to hear from you guys, what your take is on this one. So I think we have covered Salesforce a little bit, and I don't know who was here. I know everybody is sort of here every other week, I guess. So Salesforce, we have done this a lot. Salesforce versus Microsoft is a classic rivalry, I would say. There's a lot going on in this space. So I'm going to open up the floor. I don't know if you guys are going to have any comments here. And we don't take turns here, Michael.
Come on now, how can you not comment on this? It's like, but what do you expect Benioff to say? Benioff is going to say what he's going to say about Copilot. It has no bearing on whether Copilot works or not. It's just what he's going to say because he wants to go after Microsoft. And of course, when the CEO of Microsoft says that SaaS companies are a thing of the past and because of agentic AI, they will no longer exist. He's got to fire back. Honestly, when I read this article, my conclusion, agents within the Microsoft world right now are agentic light. There's hardly anything there. You can go over to Salesforce, same thing. Agentic AI in the Salesforce platform is agent light. There's barely anything there. Neither of them have much when it comes to agentic, and we have a long ways to go. So they can keep firing shots over the bow as long as they want. But it's just not even, to me, it wasn't even news. Let's talk about the technology. Let's talk about the customers who are using this, and let's get it. We don't want another presidential election. We've already been through that.
I do have to say, though, I do like Benioff's characterization of this as Clippy 2.0. I mean, it's pretty cute. But no, I think you're right, though. It's just a classic rivalry. They've been going at this for a long time, and both companies have offerings that are moving in the same direction. There's some criticism from Benioff on, Salesforce does more, they have more in-house, the OpenAI partnership with Microsoft, but in the end, I mean, they're both moving towards the same direction.
Yeah, ultimately, I think this is very much like competitive posturing. And John, you said it best. We're still very early in the stages of agentic AI, and I think this is a great way to kind of get some visibility on Salesforce and what they're doing. So ultimately, a big advertising move on Mr. Benioff's behalf.
Well, take a slightly different tack. Think about it if you're a parent, right, and you have a child. When your young kid starts to learn to walk, do you yell at the kid when they fall over? No. Not everything's going to be successful. And we're so early in the AI journey, especially with agentic and how the different tools are going to, like what's going to happen in the marketplace. It would be just really silly to take any one of these pot shots as being definitive, because we don't know where it's going to go. It's going to continue to evolve and be shaped by how things actually happen in the workplace when people adopt these technologies and use them. So experimentation needs to be the watchword that we're all playing for. And then we use what we learn as the method of being able to have all of the boats rise.
Yeah, so I have a follow-up question for John, I guess, and I think you use the term AI, agentic light is the term. So describe what light is in your mind, and what's going to be heavy, I guess.
Yeah, if you dig into most of what is happening right now at Salesforce, as an example, and some of this is in Copilot as well, everything is based on generative AI, and generative AI doesn't reason. An agent, by nature of what it's supposed to be, it should be a representative of a person, and it should be able to handle the tasks that they do with the same responsibility. It's a completely different technology. So what both Salesforce and Microsoft have at this point is at a very basic level. It's natural language processing, it's generative AI sort of, and it's NLP capabilities at the foundation of how you can get things done, generate things, do tasks. It's not agentic. It doesn't reason. It doesn't learn. There is some adapting, and what's missing is and what will be growing up this year is agentic architectures that serve as an orchestration layer for multi-agent environments where agents can communicate with each other, they can handshake, they can collaborate, they can establish new objectives underneath their bigger objectives. That part of the world is just emerging. So these are really agent and agentic light. There's a lot of confusion in the marketplace because the Gen AI world has just jumped on board and started to call almost everything they do as AI agents or agentic, and it's a misnomer.
Any other comments?
I think I just said the last thing I have to add, and my good friend Leonard Goff said in the comments, which I completely agree with, is that if Copilot was ultimately integrated into Microsoft products such as Word and Outlook rather than an added feature and whatnot. So I completely agree with you on that. And I think that's where we're ultimately heading in the future, where this stuff isn't an extra single product, but rather than integrated with the existing functionality and capabilities. Actually, Deltek does a pretty decent job at that right now. Where that's kind of just added on into the future where customers don't have to pay any extra costs.
Yeah, I mean, we are seeing good movements towards reasoning, good movements towards self-learning, but we're not there yet. And it's certainly something that's evolving quickly. And I think, we will get there, but it's definitely something that's not quite to the point that you can say it's autonomous and completely agentic.
Yeah. So one thing that nobody has said so far, which is going to be very specific to this story, is going to be the 2.0 version that they have announced. I don't know what's the difference between 1.0, 2.0. Do you guys have any sort of background there by any chance? what was there before and what is 2.0. Obviously, Salesforce is going to make a hype about that.
Yeah, I mean, but it's incremental progression in developing the platform. I don't think that's a logical step, right? I mean, they've added some capabilities, they've added more integrations, they've started to expand it a bit, but it's something that's going to incrementally improve all through this year. So you're going to see more releases, more capabilities.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah, they did
guys.
add some additional agents, is
Yeah.
what they call agents as well, that do some additional tasks. And I mean, that's the direction it has to go. They launched 1.0, and that was 1.0 was about 0.5, and so now they've got a 1.0 that they call 2.0, and they've added some agents, right? And I think that's a good thing. They've got to keep doing that and giving people relevant tasks. I think of it as more than agentic AI. It's almost like robotic process automation coming into the Salesforce platform. They've identified often repetitive tasks that people have to complete within the platform, and they're giving them a way to automate it. It's a good thing. It's really good for them, for their customers. And it's not AI agents.
Yeah, we're more at intelligent RPA at this point, I think, and that's I think that's a good way to think about it, right? There are things you can automate, more and more things you can automate, but we're not quite to the let's just turn this thing loose and let it do whatever it.
Okay, very interesting, guys. So I'm going to touch on some of the comments that we have. Hey, Leonard, thank you so much for joining. Here's one more comment here. Then we have comment from John. John, you have AI agent here who's commenting on your behalf, I guess.
No, that was me. That was me. I have. I am a multi-purpose agent.
Hey, Julian, thanks so much for joining. Robin, thank you so much. Follow these guys if you don't follow them. They're amazing. Some more comments here. So we have one from Leonard, and I think he's agreeing that confusion between AI agents. Agentic AI. We have one comment from Shashi as well. I think he is trying to mention the URL. Thank you so much for joining, Shashi. We are missing you. And then he's saying, I find MS Copilot very experimental. It's embedded in every Microsoft 365 product I use. Example, I can ask it for open slots on my calendar, and it can recognize even spaces like focus time blocks and miss some open blocks that are available. Anybody has any comment on that? No? Okay, and I'm trying to see which view is going to be because I want to make sure you guys have visible here. So no comments on this comment. If you guys don't have anything, thank you so much for the comment, Shashi. Okay, if we don't have anything else, I'll move to the next story. So here, let's go through this. So this is coming from HubSpot. I'll give a quick view on this story. So this is very interesting. So this is coming from the CEO, HubSpot CEO, and he likes to play. And everybody's sort of trying to figure out, okay, what they are going to get out of AI agents. So this story is all about that he has now 258,000 users in 4 months. And he has some of the use cases, which is mind-blowing. So he's playing a lot. I think everybody's trying to do that, which is very interesting. So I don't know. I'm opening the floor now.
I mean, I think the piece of this that's actually the most interesting is the approach, right? So they're trying to develop new technology, but keep it off the books. It's a pretty cool way to do it, right? You spin it out into a startup. I mean, we've done this before, ChatSpot, right? Spin it out, let it prove itself, then you pull it back in. And I think that's what Dharmesh is doing with this. It's just another way to invest in R&D, get a good product out there, which, apparently it's, seeing good adoption already, and then, prove it out, and then eventually fold it back into HubSpot.
More comments? No?
Well, I obviously think Dharmesh has had great experience building platforms and whatnot, but only thing I'm a little curious on and hesitant is, you hear 250,000 users, sounds great. I'm curious if that's also like an experimental thing as well, how much of those full-time users. It's one of those announcements that sounds great, but curious to see how that plays out over the years.
Yeah, in my understanding of the users are going to be that these are developers who are actually playing with the platform.
Sure.
That would be my understanding.
Yep.
He's not trying to make money. I think he's trying to figure out use cases that he
Okay.
can fold into HubSpot. I think that's what Mike
Yeah.
said.
I,
So
I do like the AI marketplace, the agent marketplace that they've rolled out, and I know that a couple other companies have announced something like that, like Workday's announcement that I think we're going to talk about later. Also launched an AI agent marketplace, and I think that's going to be a really useful tool going forward. You can find very specific, focused AI that you want to use for specific use.
So being the curious individual that I am, I went and signed up for Agent.ai to see if I could create an agent. I couldn't. I'm not a developer, so it is absolutely targeted at developers. But you can go in there and you can start utilizing all of these different agents, and that to me is fascinating because it
Yeah.
gives you a sense of all of the different kinds of things that you do. So the one that I chose went and looked at my LinkedIn profile and came up with a poster for a full-length feature movie that would be written about me, the digital analyst. And it kind of strange, but when you go in there, I think that this is the direction that in order to get adoption, this is a really good idea because it allows people to go in and experiment and to use. It allows people who are developing the agents the ability to get feedback from people who are using their agents. They can make improvements. They can change. I think I think the whole marketplace concept is really powerful, and I actually disagree that it's only going to be pulled back in. I think there is some potential to eventually make money out of this as use grows, as users grow, the community grows. I think there's an opportunity. I might find something in there, and I want to take that agent and make it available on my site, my website. I might want to use it for content creation. I think there will be money made and exchanged there.
So, John, it seems like in the post AI world, developers are going to have a job. That's what you're
Yeah.
telling me from
Hey,
I just sound like they missed when they called it low code, though.
I was hoping I could go in and just tell the AI, make this agent for me, right? And no,
Right.
not yet.
Hey, make it slightly more complicated. We need to have a job.
Exactly.
So one question for you guys, and I think he has some very interesting use cases here. And John, you might have some insights. I think he's looking at sleep patterns, and obviously, when you look at Dharmesh, obviously he is primarily looking at the sales use cases, any of the sales insights or sales intel or what do you call that? That the whole ABM flow is very interesting from the sales intel perspective. So I think that's what he's trying to figure out from these use cases. So I don't know if you guys are going to have any sort of intel in terms of what may come out of it. So sleep patterns, average bedtimes. Can you believe this? This is wild. I don't know why you would use that. Correlations like what readiness scores with social media activity. I mean, things such as this have been done before, but that was more done in the data warehouse world. John's world, right? But now he's trying to bring that up from the AI agent perspective. No comments?
I think that in the article, they only touched the surface because you go in there and it's sales, marketing, customer service, operations, social, lifestyle. There is a HubSpot, so there are people creating HubSpot apps in there. There's an other. You can do research on a company. There's just it seems like it's pretty extensive. It's certainly not just targeted at sales and marketing.
Amazing. If you guys don't have any other comments, we can move to the next story. So this is a very interesting story from Salesforce as well. And in this case, I mean, again, we are talking about launch of POS, which is probably one of the most boring category. So far, I have called the most boring category for payroll, but POS is equally boring. I don't think anybody wants to touch POS. But right now in the AI world, in my mind, the POS is going to act as more of the phone. And the reason why companies wanted to go after phone or the interface or the voice, hardware like Amazon is because that gives you tons of data. So that could be the reason why Salesforce is going after this. Obviously, the whole omni-channel play is there as well. I don't know if you guys track commercetools. I think we have commercetools story as part of this as well. They have done very similar things as well. So most of these companies are moving towards the same direction. I mean, the whole omni-channel never works in my personal experience.
Yeah.
Comments?
I mean, it's a hard problem to solve, right? The bridging the digital to the actual in-store, in-person experience. And the Commerce Tools announcement I thought was really interesting, and I know we'll get to that. But I mean, this fits into what Salesforce had done already. I mean, the example they used during the last World Tour was Saks Fifth Avenue, I think, in a customer service agent example. So they've been working on this for 6-8 months or so anyway. So it does make sense. I mean, it's definitely a hard problem to solve, and something that it makes sense that agentic could help and try to bridge that gap.
I mean, I think ultimately this is a push towards, the unified commerce where you're integrating, point of sale, CRM with marketing and service data. I think that's the biggest thing to take away here, is that the unification, obviously improving their platform play.
Yeah.
I think when you look at use cases, probably the smartest thing any of the vendors can do at this point is stay close to the money. And when you're talking about point of sale and what actually drives consumer purchases and has you better understand what consumer needs are, there you go.
If you guys don't have any other comments, I can move to next story on this one. So we are on Commerce Tools. So Commerce Tools, very similar story here. They are making very similar move, and I think one of the problems that the majority of the whole Marc community, and I don't know if you're familiar with them, there are at least, I would say, 200 companies that are part of that ecosystem. It's called MACH. It's all composable movement. And obviously Commerce Tools is a big vendor there, and from their perspective, I guess they always wanted to mesh as many applications as possible, the whole composable movement. But in this case, I think POS was always a tricky factor, so now they are launching that. Again, very similar move as Salesforce. So I don't know what's going to be your take, you guys.
I think this is ultimately showing that consumers still want to shop in store. It's not only going to be e-commerce forever. So I think technology vendors are ultimately aligning themselves with the consumers' demand and where they're going to be going in the first. So I think obviously e-com and online channels are still going to be very prevalent, but brick and mortar stores where people can actually go try on certain items in person is still extremely valuable, and that won't be going anywhere anytime soon. I think that's the biggest thing coming out of this.
Yeah, and it plays into hybrid. I like that a lot too, right? I saw it online. I want to try it on. I make that appointment ahead of time. I go to the store, and maybe I have it shipped. I mean, it just makes sense. The one thing I liked about this announcement, and I haven't dug into this a lot yet, but it's the idea of giving tools to the in-store associate to actually utilize this, right? So I can use it to get customer insights. I can use it to get product insights, so that you actually enable that associate to be brought into that process of bridging the digital and
I have a little bit of a problem with it, because the press release didn't describe anything that they were actually doing. It's a great concept.
Sure.
So I went to the website, right? Same thing, in store. What is it? It never describes what it actually does. So I don't know what to comment, because whoever announced this for Commerce Tools never gave us the details of what it does. Either that, or I'm a poor searcher and I couldn't find it. But you'd think they would put that right up front so that we could have a conversation about it. You guys help me out here, but I don't really know what in-store is.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you, but I don't know. I mean, see, where do you draw the line? I don't know if press releases are supposed to be more of the hook. Maybe you can tell me, John. I think most companies, that's how they do it, right? It's just a hook. They are not going to provide enough details, and then come to me, you are going to be a lead then.
Right, but it's not at the website either. I go to the in-store page, and it tells me all of the benefits of having it, but it never. I have no idea what it does. I get that it unifies the in-store experience and the online experience. That's very powerful, but give me some meat. Tell me what it does. I mean, it's. I'm sorry, but it was really, as a marketing guy, former CMO, head of product marketing, somebody should get in trouble for this.
I used Perplexity to get a little more detail. You might try that as the search.
But they are going by the public information as well. Did you find anything, Michael, there?
I found a lot of marketing speaks. That was useful, I suppose.
But overall, in my mind, John, if I could give you a little background in terms of what other vendors are doing, obviously they are not going to be as composable as what commercetools is doing. But generally, the in-store experience is going to be slightly different, because now, if you look at the whole concept of endless aisle, you have to do fulfillment right from the store. You talk about microful that you are doing right from the store as well. You have the whole merchandising planning play right within the store. So traditional retail supply chain, the way they used to work is, hey, I'm going to supply these things in the morning. You report back what you sold in the evening, and that was the traditional sort of retail. It's not value chain, I guess, store chain you could call. I don't know, but that's how stores operated. Because the whole concept of unified commerce, even today, the companies that are claiming that they have that, it's very, very, very hard. In general, what I have seen, and I think I have commented about this before as well, that if you go to Home Depot, okay, and you tell them that you are looking for home delivery, what they are going to do is they are going to direct you to a terminal that is going to be in the corner, which is completely disconnected from the store inventory, and then you have to process the order there, which is never going to work, because you are going to get $5 before they can process the order. So that's the state of unified commerce. So these guys are trying to solve that, I think, because now they are going to provide this as part of same fabric. There is so much you can do, because 80% of the revenue for 90% of the retailers, to Charles' point, is probably going to come from store. E-commerce is great, but that's probably 20-30% for most businesses. If you guys don't have any comments, all right. So the next story that we have is coming from Rootstock. And Rootstock, if you guys are not familiar, they are one of the manufacturing ERPs. They are on Salesforce platform. So very well penetrated into the Salesforce ecosystem. So here, in this particular case, this is a very interesting story, because I think this is the new reseller, but reseller is the previous CEO, David, I believe. And then he is going to be working with Deloitte. They signed up the partnership with Deloitte. So this is a very interesting development from the Rootstock perspective, just because, I mean, they are probably going to get really large enterprise deals for the most part. I mean, that's how I'm seeing the story. So, which is huge for a vendor like Rootstock. Yeah. Is relatively smaller, I would say, in the ERP space. What do you guys think?
Well, and very mid-market focused. I mean, they've certainly been, and honestly call themselves MRP, so kind of a reversion back to the older term, really focused around manufacturing, and good functionality, but they really need some way to extend those applications to the enterprise and provide more functionality. So this gives them, from what I understood anyway, composable apps. Let that partner extend it in a way that makes it more usable at an enterprise level. So pretty good strategy in my opinion. Leverage the partner as the way to dig into that market, and then you stay focused around your core.
That's actually a very interesting point too, because, as you mentioned, Rootstock is, particularly suited for those, mid-level organizations. Yep. And I've seen a lot of other ERP vendors specifically try to move up to that enterprise level, kind of capture those partners, but no really true, pathway or strategy to really obtain that or help those customers out. Right. So I think, right off the bat, I think Rootstock has an interesting strategy here and how they're going to ultimately kind of gather those enterprise customers, because that's a whole tricky other world in and of itself. So once again, be one of those things. We'll see how it plays out, but I think a really great strategy in how they are going to plan to get these enterprise level customers.
Yeah, just one minor clarification there. So, I don't know how updated you guys are. And so they used to be MRP, Michael, you were right. Yeah. But I think because they used to use Financial Force, as their, financial system. But now I think they are full-blown ERP. That's my understanding. Charles, I think you work very closely with them as well, so you would probably know.
Yes.
Right now, they are definitely ERP. They will utilize some add-ons. Everybody does, but they are definitely an ERP. I don't think they are anymore relying on other ERP systems, I would say. So they are not necessarily.
Financial Force purchased by Certina.
I think
that is just a rebranding. It's not purchase.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a rebranding. Yeah. Certinia.
Bringing Deloitte Digital into this too is pretty smart to get into the enterprise. Certainly the right connections and the right level of expertise.
Yeah, and I guess, one of the things that they have, I guess, they have big Salesforce practice, and Salesforce is a big driver for Rootstock as well as for Deloitte. Deloitte makes tons of money from the Salesforce implementations. So now they are going to have ERP on Salesforce as well, which is big for Rootstock. More comments, guys? So you guys are excited, I guess. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, so here, Clearwater, and they are going to buy software maker Enfusion for $1.5 billion expansion push. Clearwater Analytics, and John, you might have far more background in this. I don't know whether you track every single data space or just because this is very niche down, right, in a specific industry. So this is sort of the pre-deal, post-deal investment banking. That's my understanding of this. And that's sort of the play here with this merger. Here we have some comments. Our clients need order management systems and portfolio management system. We could build it, but again, building it something like this is not an overnight job, I guess. So it's very smart that they bought this, but obviously they paid 1.5 billion. In my mind, I think it's a great acquisition. What do you guys think?
Clearwater, first of all, is a very focused analytics company, not a broad analytics company. Looking at a lot of financial closing software, things like that. So I don't go deep into that, but this is a consistent theme that we're seeing around companies who know that they need to AI enable their existing platforms and applications. And so the question then becomes, do we build it in-house? Do we buy? And this was a buy decision. And I'm sure that they were building in-house too. It's not that easy. It requires a lot of integration of different technologies to be able to put everything together, not only to create a generative AI application, but when you start looking at different kinds of AI as well, and machine learning and complex algorithms and automations and all of that, it becomes complicated. And if you don't have that capability in-house and somebody is out there doing it, then an acquisition makes sense to the tune of $1.5 billion. And yeah, it's worth it because you can't afford to get this wrong. Everything's moving so fast. If they get it wrong, it could be the end.
Well, and the other thing that comes with this, I'm with you. I'm not much of an expert in investment management tech, but the thing I saw in this that I thought was interesting is that nearly 40% of Enfusion's business comes out of Europe, and that gives them a really nice opportunity into that customer.
Yeah, I think this obviously aligns with the general technology trend and kind of what John was alluding to, of where you either build in house or you kind of acquire and you build these all in one front end or back end solutions. So. I think it just kind of aligns with the industry trend. That they rather purchase this and kind of get it out to customers as fast as possible. Increase that time to value.
All right, guys. If you guys don't have anything else on this one, I'll move to the next one. Okay. So this is a very interesting story as well, and I don't know if you guys track these guys. It is Athos Commerce. Searchspring is the vendor. I think they were more into the merchandising game. That's my understanding. So here they are combining, what is that? Klevu, advanced AI-driven search technology with search strings, robust search merchandising, personalization, and analytics. So again, a lot of consolidation happening. I would say initially everybody was claiming that it's all composable. Everybody needs to be different, I guess. But now everything is coming together. So in my mind, this is a very consolidation story. And they are also saying that the product discovery category is crowded, but the opportunity to improve its offering is immense. The whole product discovery category, many different companies in that category as well. And again, I don't know how much background you have. So you guys first comment, and then I'll provide some more context.
I thought the interesting piece in this was actually the personalization part, right? I mean, that's the biggest trend in customer experience is how do I individualize rather than just segment and personalize? And this has some good capabilities there, or at least takes them in that direction. So for me, I thought that was an interesting piece.
Yeah.
And I think it's similar to the last story as well, in that they're buying, bringing together at least the AI and more of the additional capabilities into a single company. And it by the way, it really awesome opportunity for some of the AI first companies that are out there. You don't have to build an entire AI landscape to be successful. You can build a very focused AI-enabled application and become an acquisition target. And I think we're gonna keep seeing this, and we'll probably have something like this every week in our conversation here.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think as the retail competition intensifies, ultimately customers want less solutions to do more. So I totally align with that trend, 100%.
As you start thinking about customer experience and all of the different potential technology areas that fall underneath it, one of the things I've seen has been firms that have a foothold, like say in call distribution and management. As they have a solid product, they look for natural adjacencies in order to both expand the customer base as well as retain customers they already have. And this is happening all over. So I think the trend around being able to have these types of agreements where you're becoming stronger by having other technology areas brought in, and also the whole thing around being able to look at how you build component parts and intelligently put them together or discover new capabilities out of doing that, it makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, great points, guys. So I'm going to go through comments. We have some more comments here from the audience. So let's start with this. Okay. So Leonard is saying, I wonder if sometimes companies are adding AI just to make the claim, which may be glorified RPA or LLMs rather than true agentic AI. There are definitely going to be some cases, but we have seen some powerful use cases for AI. I would not say it is completely fake. There is some real power to it. So what do you guys think? Do you have any comments on this?
I mean, there's definitely a lot of pressure for companies that don't have a story around AI to have a story around AI, but I don't think that's necessarily bad. I mean, it's just driving them to move faster in certain directions, which is probably good for their customer.
Yeah, all right. If we don't have anything else, we have one more comment from Shashi. He's saying, why did the tech companies start bashing each other these days? That's not new, Shashi. Come on.
No, that's not new at all.
It has to be there. Otherwise, how are we going to have fun?
Advertising. Yeah, it's a great advertising stunt.
Yeah. Okay. So Pow Talk is talking about need something to offset AI doing everything. I don't know where that comment is going.
That's probably an AI agent. That's
I'm thinking that. I didn't want to say that, but yeah, that's probably
an overworked AI agent.
Not getting paid.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have some more comments from Leonard. I'm thinking that AI used in POS application could help with fraud and be quite in the background, just making sure transactions are legitimate. Fraud just with POS is a very interesting topic. In my mind, if AI agents are going to be used for fraud detection, and again, I don't know whether you are talking about just the credit card fraud. If that is the case, then that would generally go with the POS terminal owner. And that could be true as well. In this particular case, I guess whoever is selling POS terminal would probably own that. But sometimes the processor may be different from the technology provider of POS. So there are some layers there, I guess, in that as well. But fraud could be so many different things, right? I mean, fraud could be in the back end. Even if the credit card is right, does not mean that you might not have fraud in the back end. So if you are looking for centralized fraud management, then you probably have slightly more centralized strategy for that. So that would be my take on that. Any comments, guys? No? Okay. Also ask the customer for upsells or cross-sell opportunities. Yes, that is right. That's where I guess that's the real play for owning the POS. There's too much data and there are going to be too many opportunities that they can capitalize. I think that's why they are going for that.
Well, and there's some good movement in systems that help behind the scenes to offer next best offer, help the associates actually be able to do this effectively based on the data you have. So that I think is something that you're going to see a lot more.
Yeah. Okay. So we have one more from Ven, and Ven is saying some companies leverage their point of sale as part of their secret sauce. Custom tipping, upsell prompts, interesting. Yeah, I mean, personally, in the retail space, I have seen POS being used as their ERP because there's so much happening in the POS layer. There's not much happening in the background, to be completely honest. Even the ERP systems that you are going to have in the retail space are very different. They require merchandising planning, the store planning, the whole SNOP layer, WMS, TMS. And Charles, I think you track this space as well, right? So
Yes.
it's very different. Yeah. Yeah, so if you guys don't have anything else on this comment, I'll keep going here. They need to educate their PR department on their AI capabilities, perhaps.
True.
So that John is going to be happy with PR stories, because right now he's not. Okay, M&A in tech has picked up again. I'm not too sure about that. Are you guys seeing momentum? Right now, people are super scared, right? Whatever M&A you are seeing is primarily because of consolidation. I would not say that people are overly excited in the market just because of the uncertainty. What are you guys seeing?
I think it's the consolidation play 100%. I think of some of these smaller vendors, these niche vendors are kind of, I wouldn't say being pushed out of the market, but ultimately they are having a hard time survive compared to these large organizations that have these huge R&D budgets and are able to either invest or, handle in-house, kind of build these solutions. So completely agree. I think it's a consolidation, but I think it will continue to happen. We're seeing in a lot of spaces.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a tech strategy forever, right? To do a startup that does a feature rather than a full product. The feature then gets rolled back in, and it helps accelerate your own development. So I'd agree that makes sense to where we are right now. I don't see like broader M&A pickup, although there has been a decent amount of private equity movement in the background.
Very interesting, guys. You guys don't have anything else? We have one more comment from Shashi. He's saying, happy to see consolidation in the commerce and manufacturing software. In general, whenever you are going to have slightly more recessionary economy, in my personal experience, consolidation is going to be the game to make you numbers, I guess. That's how companies make their numbers. There's no other way. So that's why this is happening. Any more comments on this? No? Okay. Could it be that they are buying the data rather than the AI? And I don't know which question or comment you are commenting on, Leonard. Are you talking about, do you guys have any idea where he might be? No?
Could it be around the Clearwater acquisition?
Maybe.
I believe, because he wrote the question 8 minutes ago, so I believe it's that.
Could be.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out which one that is located.
Yeah, and Leonard, if you can confirm that, obviously that will be helpful. But if this is regarding Clearwater Analytics, my take on that is going to be that they are buying sort of the value chain as opposed to just the data. So they are buying a piece of the process along with the logos and everything else that you are going to get. So it's not necessarily just the data play. I don't even know if they own data. Some companies in the analytics space are going to own the data as well. That's what is going to be their power. In this particular case, I don't know, but for the most part, I think that is the company is the very tech play. That's my understanding. And it's sort of the value chain integration.
Well, and one thing I'd like to highlight here is, and I think John would actually be happy with my saying this, but I think data is really the Achilles heel behind all of the things. Because I actually think for the space that I normally cover, I think back to how AI ops grew as an area of focus. And the companies that were born as an AI ops provider had other products, and they used the data, the relationships, and the synthesis in order to be able to bring their offer to market. And customers had a lot of problems with it because, for the most part, if you didn't actually see the world the way that the vendor did, you ended up having a really hard time being able to leverage the offer. So I think in this case, our AI tools are not going to be doing we're just going to imagine all of the data. No, there might be some data, what would we call it? There might be some of that stuff going on, but fact of the matter is, the more robust the data model, the better that your AI tools are going to be able to work with it. And this, I think, is one of our primary challenges, because focusing on specific use cases, helps you use the data that you already have. but what data do you need in order to be able to ask more interesting questions and get more interesting answers?
One of the big opportunities that's emerging right now is the combination of data that has been collected by a SaaS company and can be anonymized and then used as benchmarking data to be able to train the AI, so that you do have some very intelligent automation capabilities that you have, recommendation engines, comparisons to benchmarks across the industry. So in a case like that, if an AI vendor also has that rich set of data for even if it's a very specialized business process, or what you call the feature, Michael, if there's data beneath that becomes really incredibly valuable, maybe even more valuable than the application itself.
Yeah,
I could not agree more. Great points, guys. Okay, so some more comments. So he's saying overbuying customers.
I
so
think that's more like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Could not agree more. Okay, so some more comments here. So we have local endpoint or cloud mode. When and how long before solutions scale down to local execution? What is that? I have no idea where that comment is coming from.
I think as you start looking at from a historical perspective, and I hate to say how many years I've been in the industry, but it's been long enough to be able to see lots of pendulums swinging back and forth between distributed capability at the client level, going back to having more centralized or cloud capability. And there's always going to be this back and forth of, as the device becomes more capable and you can put more data on it, network speeds become to the point where you don't have to think about it anymore. You're going to see this push and pull. And I think that in terms of being able to determine where a particular workload is going to actually run, and that's going to be fluid. I think we're going to see a lot more of this where these things start to get closer to the point of activity, as opposed to having to go back into the cloud and have everything be done there.
Yeah, I mean, hybrid definitely seems like the way that we've moved very quickly and will continue.
Yeah, and I just recently was briefed by a company called Synadia, and they basically have a whole messaging system to be able to take AI to the edge, to devices, and to have the communication go back and forth. So we're definitely moving in that direction. The how long before solutions scale down to local execution, it's happening. I don't know that that we need to wait. It's here. It's being done. It may not be mainstream. It's not in my refrigerator yet, but it will be soon.
All right, guys. So we have some more comments here. So I'll keep going here. So I don't know which story it was. So he's confirming that, but I'm thinking that they are considering the data in addition to the AI check. So I think he does not remember that either. Without the right data, you can have the best AI check, but it won't be that useful. That is true.
I mean, I think that's the stereotypical garbage in, garbage out statement, right? If you have bad data, it's kind of useless at the end of the day.
Yeah, and we all know that data fragmentation's been a huge enterprise problem forever. So it's just going to continue until we see. And I think we even had some stories that are going to talk to that. But yeah, I think data consolidation, data quality, all those are extremely important.
More guys, some more comments. So he's saying, Leonard is saying, does he mean edge AI or to avoid latency?
I meant taking AI to the edge, because the challenge is when you have a device and you have something on the edge, you don't have a lot of compute power at that point. So how you get the intelligence, the artificial intelligence to that end device is a challenge in its own. And that's what these platforms like Synadia are addressing with a sort of a new lightweight messaging system.
So John, on that point, and I don't know if you guys are going to have any other examples of companies. I think Motive is one company, and I don't know if you guys track them. Motive, they are in the supply chain space, and they are primarily a tech company. technically they are a camera company, okay, but they probably have $1 billion valuation. What they are trying to do is they are trying to get into the whole driver compliance. The camera is going to be installed, and the camera has AI too, so it is actually teaching in terms of how to drive, and then they are reporting back to the whole ELD compliance as well, I guess. Not just ELD, I guess there are some more compliance issues that are there in the space, and the whole idea is that they are getting data automatically from the device, but they are able to do the edge AI successfully. They were doing that long back. Now they are probably going to be more powerful, but that's not a platform play as such. It's very limited application, just one use case. Okay, if you guys don't have any other comments there, he is talking about data protection, etc. NPU is the current drive. Again, I have no idea where the comment is coming from. This too many AI agents, I guess, and AI agent now has a QR code as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought that was funny that his profile picture was a QR code. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I'm curious what that actually leads to.
You want to scan?
No.
I think I'll pass.
Please let me know though.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right, so he's liking that. Thank you so much, Leonard, for joining. All right, guys, so we just have 3 minutes right now, so I think the only thing we can do is some sort of closing advice right now. I don't think we'll be able to do a story. So we'll go opposite this time. Michael, I'm going to start with you. Closing advice, any plug?
Well, I don't know about plug, but I think the one thing that we came to is talking about the role of data in the NAs. We talked more about agentic and all these other evolving topics this year. Data is just going to continue to be an issue, and it's going to continue to be a priority for businesses going forward. So to me, if I was taking away something there, I think that's really a really important.
Okay, well.
2 things. First is stay open. However it is now, it's going to change. And then the second thing is start building chops around experimentation. The more you do that, the more you're going to be able to be agile in the face of change. And that's going to be very important for us.
I'm going to address the build or buy issue, and I say the answer to build or buy is yes. You're gonna buy some things, but if you're not building and increasing your AI literacy and skill set within the organization, you're going to get left behind.
I think the last thing for me is, and I mentioned this on the last call I was on, is find what brings financial value to you, because a lot of interesting stuff's going on in the space right now. A lot of talk, a lot of advertisement, but what's really going on? Take it to that next layer. I know John was talking about that in-store sales agent, for example, and finding out what's really going on. I think that's the biggest thing. And I think last time him and I were on the call, he discussed focus on what's not being said. And I completely agree with you, John. I think that was a very accurate statement. But that's my advice to the people.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much, guys, for your time and insights. Always fascinating. And if you guys again joined for the first time, this was part of our analyst series for which we meet every Thursday, I guess, at 11, right? And Eastern, we are doing too many series, I guess. It's hard to track the time. So every Thursday, 11 a.m. So make sure you guys are going to be here next week. We are going to come back with more stories for you guys. On that note, thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.